Ever made a promise you kind of regretted breaking?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But like, imagine if the stakes were just a little bit higher, like cosmically higher.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
We're talking celestial oaths, those binding agreements where it's not lawyers but gods calling the shots, and the fine print.
It might just rewrite reality as we know it.
Today, we're diving deep into the system of cosmic contracts, exploring everything from those minor godly favors to the pacts that hold the very universe together.
You know, it's fascinating, the concept of an oath, this promise with serious teeth, consequences. It's everywhere, even in these, mythical frameworks.
So like even gods need a rule book to keep things from going totally off the rails.
Exactly. It reveals this inherent need for order, even among, beings of unimaginable power.
So where do we even begin with something this massive?
Let's start with the oath that, while definitely extraordinary, might feel a bit more relatable. We're talking agreements between gods and mortals, the kind that could bring blessings or some pretty serious curses, depending on who's keeping their word.
Okay, so less end of the world and more end of a really, really bad week kind of scenario.
Precisely. These lower-tier oaths, while still impactful, are more about maintaining balance within a specific domain.
Right, like keeping things running smoothly.
Exactly. Think about Poseidon, the sovereign of the seas. His power, it's intrinsically linked to the oceans.
And any disruption to that order.
Let's just say you wouldn't want to be on a cruise ship when he's feeling disgruntled.
I can see that going very badly, very quickly.
Right.
But what makes these oaths so ironclad, so unbreakable? What keeps even a deity like Poseidon in check?
These oaths are often tied to the very essence of the deity. It's not just about raw power, but about their fundamental nature. Disrupt that, and you're not just breaking an agreement, you're challenging the very fabric of their being.
So there's a reason even gods don't mess around with these oaths. But what about us mortals? How do we get in on this cosmic contract system?
Imagine going to the temple, not just for a moment of quiet reflection, but to bargain with a god.
It's like celestial haggling.
Offerings, sacrifices, maybe even a heartfelt poem about how radiant Apollo's chariot looks at dawn. These were the currencies of divine favor.
Okay, I'm adding brush up on my epic poetry skills to my to-do list. But seriously, what did these divine favors entail? Were we talking winning lottery numbers or something a bit more, shall we say, significant?
Think more along the lines of blessings for a bountiful harvest, or maybe a prophecy to guide a king's decisions. These C-tier oaths, they were often transactional, a give and take between the divine and us mortals.
Right, because even a minor god could really tip the scales of fate if they were so inclined. But I have to ask, what happened when these oaths were broken? Was it instant divine smiting, or were there like levels of consequence?
Well, let's consider Apollo, the god of prophecy, for a moment. His pronouncements, they were notoriously ambiguous, open to interpretation. So even if a prophecy didn't unfold quite as someone hoped, was it Apollo breaking his oath? Or was it just, a matter of perspective? This ambiguity, it creates a fascinating gray area in the realm of divine promises.
So even the gods leave a little wiggle room sometimes. But I imagine not all divine agreements were so open-ended. What about those oaths that shape destinies, the ones that bound gods, and those legendary heroes in epic undertakings?
Yes. These B-tier oaths are fascinating because they often involve a mortal champion being elevated really to near divine status, but always with a catch.
There's always a catch.
Always. Take Achilles, for instance, dipped in the river Styx, practically invincible.
Keyword.
Practically. Except for that pesky heel situation. These heroes were imbued with power beyond mortal comprehension, yet still subject to fate, to the whims of the gods.
It's that classic tragic hero trope, touched by the divine, yet ultimately vulnerable.
Yes. So even with great power came, great responsibility, and perhaps even greater consequences for breaking the oaths that granted them.
Right, because the higher they climb, the further they fall.
Precisely. These B-tier oaths, while often grand in scope, still primarily revolved around maintaining order within, the existing framework of the cosmos. But as we ascend to the higher tiers, the stakes, they escalate dramatically, and the very fabric of reality, it hangs in the balance.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. We're moving beyond don't anger the gods and entering a whole new realm of if this oath breaks, reality is canceled.
Exactly. We're about to step into a realm where oaths don't just influence events, they uphold the very existence of everything.
All right then, lead the way. What awaits us in the A tier? A tier oaths. These aren't your everyday pinky swears, are they? We're talking about the kind of promises that could make or break destinies.
Oh, absolutely.
What makes these oaths stand apart from those more, I don't know, local agreements we talked about earlier?
It's the sheer weight of these oaths. We're moving beyond the scope of individual actions now and into the realm of, well, fundamental forces, fundamental concepts.
Okay.
Love, fate, the very balance of power.
We're talking big concepts here.
These are oaths that echo through millennia. They shape the very fabric of mythology itself. Breaking one. It's not just about facing the consequences, it's about unraveling the principles upon which reality is built.
Okay, so give me an example. What kind of oath holds that much power?
Imagine a realm shrouded in darkness.
Okay.
Where souls just flow endlessly, judged by a king cloaked in shadow.
Sounds ominous.
In Greek mythology, the river Styx. It isn't just some spooky river, it's a boundary. It's a manifestation of primordial power. Even Zeus, the king of the gods, bound himself to his word by swearing upon the Styx.
So even Zeus, the guy himself, had to answer to something.
Precisely. To swear on the Styx was to invoke a power honestly, even beyond his control. A force so ancient, so absolute, it demanded respect from gods and mortals alike. Breaking such an oath wouldn't just incur the wrath of a god, but the potential unraveling of cosmic order itself.
Yeah, talk about high stakes.
Yeah.
But these A-tier oaths, they weren't always about maintaining order in some grand cosmic sense, right? There was a personal element too, right?
Absolutely. These oaths weren't just about enforcing, cosmic law. They reflected the complex relationships even the gods navigated. Take Shiva and Parvati in Hindu mythology, their bond. It wasn't simply a marriage. It represented a cosmic union so profound it ensured the balance of creation and destruction itself.
So it's like their love story is literally holding the universe together. I have to admit, that's a pretty powerful image.
Their oath, it transcended lifetimes, shaping the very cycles of existence. To break it, unthinkable. It could potentially unravel the delicate balance upon which reality rests. And this is where things get even more intriguing. We move beyond the A tier and into realms where the oaths, they aren't just powerful, they're practically incomprehensible to us mortals.
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity. We're talking S tier now, right?
Right.
What kind of oath governs the forces that make existence itself possible?
Imagine a tree, its roots anchored in the deepest well of fate.
Okay.
Its branches reaching across dimensions, holding together 9 distinct realms.
Right.
Each with its own set of laws, its own unique magic. That's Yggdrasil in Norse mythology.
Okay, so less of a tree, more like the universe's load-bearing pillar.
Yeah.
And this tree, this Yggdrasil, it's held together by oaths.
Precisely. This isn't just about maintaining a single realm. This is about upholding the intricate web of existence. These S-tier oaths, they're woven into the fabric of the cosmos, ensuring that even as chaos and order dance their eternal dance, the universe itself endures.
So if even something as grand and fundamental as Yggdrasil is bound by oaths, what lies beyond that? What happens when we venture beyond the S tier into realms where the oaths are less about maintaining reality as we know it and more about, well, what exactly? This is where my brain starts to fry a little bit, I'll be honest. We're going really off the map now. Into like uncharted territory. Oaths so big, so profound, they make Yggdrasil look like, a houseplant.
Right.
What happens when even the idea of breaking an oath, like the concept itself, becomes almost meaningless?
It's almost like, how do we even wrap our heads around that? And this is where we delve into the really, truly uncharted territories of existence, where we talk about S+ and even beyond.
Beyond S+.
These aren't just oaths that bind a universe, not even just a multiverse. We're talking about safeguards woven so tightly into the fabric of everything that to even grasp them, you need a totally different perspective.
Okay, I'm going to need you to walk me through this one. What kind of oath could be bigger than the universe itself?
Imagine, if you will, just the intricate workings of a clock.
Okay.
Each year, each spring, meticulously crafted, perfectly placed, ensuring that smooth passage of time.
Okay.
Now imagine a force that governs not just one clock, but the very concept of time itself.
Wow.
Ensuring that the gears of existence continue to turn.
It's like less about stopping the clocks from breaking and more about making sure time itself never unravels.
Yes. These S+ oaths aren't just about preventing catastrophe. They're about upholding the very possibility of being.
It's like we're talking about the source code of reality here, the fundamental ones and zeros that make everything work.
An apt analogy. These oaths are maintained by, entities whose power we can barely grasp. Beings who exist outside our typical understanding of gods or even cosmic forces. They're architects of reality.
Okay.
Primordial energies. Ones that honestly predate our concepts of time and space.
Okay, my head officially hurts. But I gotta ask, if these oaths are basically beyond comprehension, What happens if, I'm just like throwing this out there, what happens if someone actually tried to break one?
To even attempt such a thing, it would be an act of unfathomable hubris.
Yeah.
The consequences wouldn't be limited to a single universe, or even a reality as we understand it. It would be, well, the potential undoing of everything.
A cascading collapse.
Yes, that not even the most powerful deities we've discussed could contain.
So not just a bad day for the universe, but a bad day for like everything, everywhere, all at once. Okay.
Right.
I'm starting to understand why we can barely even talk about these oaths directly.
Right.
It's like too much power to even comprehend. But there's one concept you mentioned earlier that I kind of want to loop back to.
Yeah.
You mentioned true names.
Yes.
What are those and how do they tie into all of this?
The true name. The ultimate taboo. A concept whispered in hushed tones, even among, the highest tiers of celestial beings. To utter the true name of something or someone is to hold complete dominion over it.
Complete dominion.
It's the key to the source code, if you will, the ultimate power fantasy. But with that power comes, well, an unspeakable weight. Because to even whisper a true name is to risk unraveling, well, the very fabric of existence.
So those disclaimers we all ignore when we click agree online, maybe those are trying to warn us about accidentally uttering a true name.
Okay.
Okay, in all seriousness, this deep dive, one for the books.
It's been quite a journey.
We've gone from those minor godly favors to the potential annihilation of, well, everything.
This really makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does.
Even these realms of unimaginable power, there's an underlying order,
Right.
a system of checks and balances, ensuring that existence continues. These oaths, these cosmic contracts, they remind us that every action, well, it has consequences. And that even the most powerful forces in the universe are bound by something greater than themselves.
It makes you think twice about the promises we make in our own lives, doesn't it? Maybe the real magic isn't in breaking those oaths, but in honoring them, in understanding the power they hold to shape not just our own destinies, but the very fabric of, well, everything.
Our own little corner of existence.
Exactly. Until next time, keep your promises sacred, your curiosity boundless, and remember, sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones, well, they're etched into the very fabric of reality itself.